in a season that is seemingly defined by the offensive firepower and the pace, the Miami Heat are starting to fall because of their Achilles heel, and that has been rebounding. And we're going to get into that and more right here on All You Can Heat with Theo Dorsey, presented by Robinhood. It is your boy, Theo Dorsey. We're right back at it again here. The Heat started off 5-0 at home, dropped a couple straight, 7-6 overall right now. We'll recap the Heat's loss to the Knicks and the Cavaliers, as well as look ahead to the next few games where they can prove they can maybe win in the void of Bam Adebayo, but then also win the rebounding margins. We're talking about all of that and more here on All You Can Heat. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment. First and foremost, just drop a comment on specifically on a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do the Miami Heat need Bam Adebayo back? Because for me, I thought they could survive following their win against the Hornets. I thought they could tread water, especially in that first game against the Cavaliers where they get the win, the immaculately drawn up play to get Wiggins, the cut to the basket and the alley-oop dunk for the win. I thought the Heat could do it and survive early in the regular season. I was excited to see how players would play into their role, but teams on the other side are starting to see a weakness, and they're striking. As you always know, All You Can Heat is brought to you by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. And as Kawhi Leonard once famously said, board man gets paid. Speaking of money, the Heat will be going for broke right now if that was the contribution that got you your actual salary, man. This has been absolutely treacherous. We'll start with this last game against the New York Knicks. You lose the game by about 10. And yes, sure, it's on the road. And sure, you get to make up for it by bringing them to Kaseya Center on Monday night. We'll see how the Heat respond. But this game was literally lost on the boards. Kel'el Ware, his ability to box out, his ability to attack the boards and finish defensive possessions is starting to get called into question more and more as a second-year big. When you have Bam Adebayo out, you need guys like him to step up and get a body on Mitchell Robinson. I mean, I don't want to glean too much from a game where there's no Tyler Hero, there's no Bam Adebayo. Hell, for the Knicks, there was no Jalen Brunson either. So I don't want to take too much away from this. This is a weird run for the Heat. But what I will take away from this is, once again, the Heat lost, and they lost at the rebounds. You think about the first game of the season against the Magic, even when they had Bam in, Bam allowing Wendell Carter to get an offensive rebound and then get to the free throw line is pretty much sealed the deal for the Magic. The same thing ailed the Heat against the Cavaliers in their grudge match, if you will, on Wednesday. And then once again on Friday on the road, the rebounding totals. Let me go look at the box score again just to get this right. The Miami Heat allowed, 20 offensive rebounds. They allowed 20 offensive boards. That's 20 extra possessions for the New York Knicks. And I know that's what Mitchell Robinson specializes in. He had 8 offensive boards himself, but that's just that's a losing formula. You can't win on a diet like that. In fact, one of the biggest revelations of this NBA season has been the injection of Amazon Prime's videos coverage of the NBA. And I wanted to start with Udonis Haslem, the OG, the man who literally is still connected with Heat culture and is still mentoring actively players on the team right now with this role with the Miami Heat. Here's what he had to say on Prime Video's coverage, which, by the way, it's been immaculate. It's been great. It is refreshing to have more broadcast partners in on the game. And this lineup they have, including Udonis Haslem, is always hidden. Here he is talking about specifically what happened against those Knicks and how the Heat can look to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, immediately after the game, I immediately text Kel'el and I said, get all the film with Mitchell Robinson in the game. Watch all the film on every offensive rebound he got on you, how he positioned himself early and pushed you under the basket. You can't rebound if the ball is not in front of you. You have to have the ball in front of you to rebound. And the first thing he said was, you're absolutely right. I'm going to get the film, and it won't happen again. And I think when you're guys in our position, and those guys are making way more money than us, and Kel'el probably might have saw me play twice He don't have to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, just to have a young guy that's receptive to your information that you're giving him, I think it just makes it a lot easier for us to want to help these guys. Nobody wants to help a guy that doesn't listen. So I love that, and I think he'll be better the next game. They got the Knicks on Monday, so we're going to see it.
There you go.
We're definitely going to see it. And you hear all the time a game of inches. It's also a game of possessions, especially in basketball. And when you're giving up that many possessions, like, you can't expect to win the game. Here's a statistic for those that want to get a real definition of just how ugly it's gotten as of late. Defensive rebounding percentage this year with Bam Adebayo on the court for the Miami Heat, they would a 74% defensive rebounding percentage is what the Heat have with Bam on the court. That would rank second in the NBA, second in the entire NBA. When Bam is not on the court, that number drops from 74% down to 62.3%, which would rank dead effing last. DFL is like, as people like to say. And what I will say about that is, if you are a person that, you know, thinks about and embodies and likes to bolster up what Heat culture is, that's just not a very Heat culture stat. Like, if it's one thing they're going to do is hustle, rebound, and defend, and with Bam Adebayo out of the lineup, those three things have been the three things that have been lacking the most. As much as we love to see the pace of play, as much as we love to see the offense being still at the top of the NBA, I believe now averaging 125 a game, still right there at number 2 in the league, they've got to rebound, they've got to defend. And if not, then what they're playing for is not a banner, is not a ring, it's for all-star nods. And we know that that's not the goal at hand for the Miami Heat. So that's just the start of it, right? You want Bam back in. He's going to help the offense. He's going to help the defense. Most importantly, he'll help you secure rebounds, especially late in games. But again, like Haslem said, we're going to have to see it. The Heat get back to action on Monday against the Knicks, looking to drop or snap a 2-game skid, as well as keep that home record. It's 5-1 is not bad, but keep that home record looking strong down the stretch. Moving forward, Kasparis assigned to Sioux Falls. He hasn't had any game action for the Miami Heat, and I think this is a smart move. You know, your first-round pick, guy who, of course, played some good Big Ten basketball, a guy who's a guard who can actually mix it up and play make. I like some of the stuff I saw out of him in the preseason, and I was kind of not – when I heard about the Terry Rozier news, I thought there was more of a chance that we would see some of him early in the year. And obviously, with the way that Norman Powell's playing, Pelle Larson's playing, the way that Davion Mitchell, who is now, I think he's averaging 7.5 assists. Like, I remember the first few games of the season, I thought, oh, can he keep this up? Like, he's going to be he's going to be top 10, top 12 in the league in assists by the end of the year. He continues to play like this against the Knicks. Doesn't score much right here, right? It didn't really get on the board, 11 points, but 11 assists. Great playmaker, gets good rim pressure, and he's a guy you want to keep on the floor because he also is a guy that is a hound on defense. But when you're getting that level of play out of him, when Jaime Jaquez Jr. is hands on the rock the way he does, you want to find minutes for Drew Smith on a night-in, night-out basis. And, of course, Andrew Wiggins has been a mainstay in the lineup and one of the most important players for the Heat. It's just not a lot of minutes to go around. So it's good to see him go to the G League, get some reps, get some minutes professionally, play within the system. Game experience is invaluable. You know, you could practice as much as you want. You can learn from and soak up as much knowledge from the vets as much as you want. But they have a bunch of games over the next week, and Kasparis will be able to kind of show his talents to the coaching staff in that. And who knows? Sometime late this season, or if the Heat are in the pinch, or even, you know, next year, if it takes that long, just patience around a guard like that is going to prove and likely going to do dividends for this Miami Heat team going forward in the future. But the main thing for the Heat right now is getting Bam Adebayo, whatever the hell is going on with that toe, get my boy back in the game. And then, of course, Tyler Hero with his ankle as he continues to be on the mend. Hopefully he'll be returning to the lineup soon. But again, to start the season and have Bam miss this many games, that had no Tyler Hero, to have a bunch of new faces in the lineup, and to start off 7-6, still feels pretty good. Still feels pretty good. A couple of quick notes before we get out of here on All You Can Heat. And again, make sure you drop a comment on who do you think is going to impact the winning more for the Heat in their return, between Bam Adebayo, who's going to shore things up, and then Tyler Hero, who I mean, the offense is not a problem at all, but can you imagine what it would look like bringing back the Heat's leading scorer from last year and having teams have to choose between Jaime, Norman, and him? And don't forget, Simone might be out there with his hands up, waiting on a pass from the corner to knock one down. Like, the firepower the Heat have on offense, they don't have the all-star names. They don't have as Stephen A would like to say, the box office names, the people that might draw the casual fan to the arena, but they definitively have the efficiency. They definitively have the firepower to compete with anybody. And I believe, despite the defense giving up 125 in 5 straight games, the offense has cleared that mark in 5 straight games as well. So we'll keep a keen eye on that. We'll see if the Heat can bounce back against the Knicks, likely with no Jalen Brunson again. And we'll give a good recap of that to tip off next week, man. But this is All You Can Heat. We're going to continue to give you all you can heat all season long. I'm Theo Dorsey with ESPN South Florida. Thanks so much for tuning in. Subscribe, comment, like, and we'll make sure we get you some updates. Hopefully by this time next week, we're talking about Bam getting reinserted in the lineup. We're talking about Tyler Hero being a full go soon. And first and foremost, anybody. Udonis Haslem said it's going to be Kel'el Ware. Shirt up them boards. Board man gets paid. And as we all know, no board, no rings. And this Heat team has a lot of promise, but it's not going to work out. It's not going to pan out if they can't finish possessions. Again, this is All You Can Heat with Robinhood. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. We'll tap in soon.